Guys, so are Section 8 tenants awful? No, they're not. And that's the short, direct answer. Any tenant can be awful. So I've rented to executives. I've had executive rental, I've had private market, and I've obviously had Section 8. And I can tell you this, I've had two evictions in my 17 years of doing real estate rentals, and neither were Section 8 tenants. So the Section 8 tenants, what I find is if you have the right application process, you have the right screening process, it starts right there with the screening and the application, doing back checks and checking them all out in the same fashion as you would in the private market. You are going to find that they are more resilient, they're more determined, they've gone through a lot, they're persevering through life's challenges as a tenant of yours. And if you treat them right and you treat them with respect, you're going to get a really good tenant that really has no turnover. And that's why I say my vacancies are essentially zero. So my first 2 years of real estate investing and landlording, I did not know about Section 8, right? And I talk about that in the prelude and further on in chapters too. And I kind of fell backwards into Section 8 and landlording. And what I found was that tenant, when she first called me, sounded quite vulnerable. There's no doubt. Sounded a bit desperate as well. But what I found, genuine honesty coming from her at the point of vulnerability. And when I started really getting to know her more, so she ultimately became my tenant, and she's a great human. And I got to realize that, I mean, she just got dealt some really tough scenarios in life that put her in the predicament to need Section 8 and receive a housing choice voucher, guys. So to think just because of that, that makes them awful is really, it's wrong. Don't do that. One, that's just wrong in life in general. Don't put a stigma on somebody just because you heard something about this from somebody else. Even like, learn about it, learn about that individual. And two, remember, guys, these are guaranteed payments you're receiving. So it's a bit of a unique scenario, right? Like, it's a very unique scenario where it's a win-win. It's a three-way win. You win as a landlord because you're getting guaranteed money coming in. The tenant wins because they're getting a great landlord out of you, and they're having a house and shelter that they just didn't have maybe a month ago. And the government wins because they are having these programs because it's been proven it helps society, and it also helps their budgets. Believe it or not, they spend this money to keep these people, off the streets, out of poor situations, poor living situations that could result in crime. It could result in jail time. All these different scenarios. By having a subsidized housing program, guys, it's a three-way win. What this program and what the Section 8 Secrets program is about is teaching you how to leverage all the variables going on, all the levers that you could be pulling to work in your favor, but you're helping somebody out. There's a lot of intrinsic value out of this as well, guys. You're going to find when you start giving back to these people, like I said, I give sometimes some birthday gifts. Sometimes I give them some gifts in general when they move in, some snacks, even some hardware, some computer hardware sometimes. Things like that. These people are so grateful, so happy. They've called me in tears. So grateful, and you get this out of this program. Really, you're not going to find that in private market, and certainly not going to find it in executive rentals. So, guys, Section 8 tenants are not awful. It starts with the screening, and it really starts. The screening is you, the landlord. So, for those stigmas and for those people that complain about the program, those are landlords that don't, quite frankly, do the job that a landlord should be doing if you're going to rent a property out in general, not just to Section 8. But you need to do your due diligence, you need to do your screening, you need to take care of all that, and you're going to have a tenant for 5, 10, 15, 20 years with no problems. So, guys, enjoy this chapter. It's a brief one, but this basically summarizes the entire thing. But enjoy the training, go further along, and we'll see you on the next chapter.